Good evening, everyone. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everyone that's here. I hope you're joining some of us online. And this we'll now introduce the 2026 Owen Electric Cooperative Annual Meeting. I'm now going to call to order the annual meeting of the Owen Electric Cooperative, and I'm going to call on Bob Trude, representing Grant and Scott counties, to give an invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Then it will be immediately followed by the National Anthem by Ashley Batter. But before we do that, we need to recognize we have one distinguished guest here, Jay Williams. Jay, where are you at? Jay is here. He's a Kentucky senator. He represents District 20, which is part of Boone, Carroll, Franklin, Gallatin, Kenton, and Owen counties. Before we start the pledges and the national anthem, I'd just like to say we're going to observe the America's national 250th year of independence. This country and those who fought for it have provided us endless liberties that we enjoy today. Also, 90 years ago, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Rural Electrification Act. Many historians have labeled this as one of the greatest economic development progress initiatives in the American history. On a local level, this initiative provides energy to homes, dairy farms, mom-and-pop shops across Kentucky's rural countryside. It also transformed much of the co-op's service territory into sprawling suburban population hubs with modern amenities and endless employment opportunities. Indeed, we have a lot to celebrate as we celebrate the 250th year of independence for the United States. This time, I'm going to call on Bob to come up and give the invocation.
Would everyone please bow and we'll have a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we pause now and come to you in prayer. Again, we thank you for another day of life that you extended to each of us gathered here this afternoon. We're mindful of the many sacrifices of those in our military are making for us each day. We want to, at this time, pray that everyone that is on active duty will be safe and healthy in the days to come. We want to pray this afternoon for the many people that each one of us is aware of, friends, neighbors, family that are dealing with illnesses. We just ask that you would watch over them in the days ahead. We also are well aware of many friends and acquaintances that we've lost in the last few months, and we pray for those that have passed on, and we just ask that you would continue to comfort them and be with their families during their time of grief. We ask that you would watch over us and protect us through our meeting today, that all will go well, all will go as planned. We also ask that you would protect each of us as we dismiss from this gathering and go back to our individual homes. We pray all these things in Christ's name. Amen. At this time, would you please stand and we'll pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ashley, you may be seated.
Thank you very much. Ashley Batter is going to sing our national anthem.
Okay.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Ashley. To continue, if there are no objection, I would like to appoint Jake Thompson, the cooperative attorney, as our parliamentarian for this annual meeting. Do we have any objections? If not, Jake will serve the capacity for the rest of the annual meeting. Next, I'm going to introduce the platform guests. First, Charlie Richardson, Director 1 from Owen County, if you'd stand. Eddie McCord is not here. He's sick, but he would normally be here. He's from Gallatin and Carroll counties. Bob True from District 3, Grant and Scott counties. Myself, Alan Arman from District 4, Pendleton and Campbell County. Jim Henning, representing District 5, the southern part of Boone County. Rick Messenschlager, District 6, Kenton County. And Hope Kenman, Director from District 7, Northern Boone County. Our President and CEO, Mike Cobb. Our attorney, Jake Thompson. And our guest speaker tonight, Mr. Don Mosier. If you'd please recognize these. Thank you. Through our registration process, we have determined that we have a quorum to conduct this meeting. You received a copy of the 2026 Owen Electric Annual Meeting Agenda. If there are no objections, the agenda will stand as approved as presented. Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. I will now call on Charlie Richardson, the Secretary-Treasurer of the Board, to present the official mailing notice.
Given that on May 2026 issue of Kentucky Living hearing official notice of annual meeting for Owen Electric Cooperative was entered as directed mail on April the 29th, 2026 in accordance to the requirements of the corporate bylaws. It's Joel Sands.
Thank you, Charlie. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the 2025 annual meeting minutes. I have a motion from anyone? We got one. Second? We got a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed? We've accepted the minutes. Next on the agenda, you will hear from the East Kentucky Power Cooperative President and CEO, Don Mosier. East Kentucky Power is owned by Owen Electric and 15 other distribution cooperatives. They are responsible for the generation and transmission of electricity that Owen serves to its members. Please welcome Don.
Good afternoon, everybody. I feel like I need a bucket truck to get up here. I don't think I've ever spoken to a crowd before where I was about 10 feet above the average person in the room. But thank you all for coming. Owen Electric is one of the 16 distribution cooperatives that own East Kentucky Power. And what that means is that I, as CEO of East Kentucky Power, work for you. Quite literally, I work for you. And I work for this board, and I work for the other 15 boards. And together we serve 89 of the 120 counties in the state of Kentucky. So almost 2/3 of the geographic area of the rural communities are served by East Kentucky Power. And as Alan alluded to, East Kentucky Power and everybody else in the cooperative world basically got its genesis back in the 1930s with the with the Roosevelt administration's the New Deal. They created the Rural Electrification Administration, which in turn created the Rural Electrification Act. And it finally gave the opportunity, and I pointed this out to our annual meeting folks the other day, that it took people like who were in the front row, the directors here today. It took them individually in those 16 co-ops to stand up and have the courage to build a cooperative to come in and to supply rural areas that the big power companies would not provide power to. Why? Because they could make money in the big towns. And if you go back to the beginning of electrification, you go back to 1882, Thomas Edison was the first person to obviously come up with electricity, but he is also the one that illuminated the city of Manhattan in New York. A grand total of 50 people he provided lights to. The following year it was 500. And it wasn't until the 1930s when the Rural Electrification Act came out that cooperatives were able to borrow money to start building transmission and generation to finally deliver power to rural America. And it's hard to imagine in today's AI world, where you hold an iPhone in your hand, you got more power than all of the spacecraft that ever sent to the moon. There and more. It's just amazing to believe that in the 1930s, 90 years ago, that only 1 in 10 rural farms, rural American families had electric power. 1 in 10. The cities had it, but these power companies were not going to bring it to you. That's where the co-ops stood up. Around the country today, there's 1,000 co-ops that provide electricity to American rural communities. Over half of the surface area of the United States of America is delivered electricity by electric co-ops. So you're a part of that journey that started 90 years ago. You know, the U.S. Department of Agriculture didn't exist until 90 years ago. Some would probably say it probably shouldn't exist today, but that's another story. But it's just amazing the history that's here in this room and represented. And you would think that so much has changed in how we approach business and how we approach the way we deliver power and the mindset and the theory behind it and the motivations for why we do this. And guess what? If you go back 90 years, all they wanted was reliable, affordable electric power. Fast forward to today, guess what East Kentucky wants to do for you all? The exact same thing. Nothing about our business plan has changed in that long a time. That's a long time for a company to be in business. And we're so thankful for the Cooperatives of America and for the brave people that stood up and created them 90-some years ago. So East Kentucky Power celebrated its 85th anniversary just this past Sunday. And Owen Electric is going to celebrate 90 next year. So we've got a proud heritage. And today, the electric cooperative business looks so different than it did even 10 years ago. Things are changing fast. We're not forgetting that mission I told you about, but things are changing fast, rapidly. And it's not just data centers. It's not just data centers. Load is growing. For 20 years, load in the electric utility business was flat. Today it's rising. And go back to 2022, there was an event called Winter Storm Elliott that surprised East Kentucky Power because it exceeded our estimated winter peak by almost 400 megawatts. We found ourselves with insufficient power for the first time in our history to be able to provide every megawatt hour to you all. We had to rely on a marketplace that thankfully held together, but we're taking action. And Alan Arman, who's chairman of the board of Owen Electric, just after 5 years, left the board of East Kentucky Power this past week, earlier this week. Alan, we want to thank you for your service at East Kentucky Power. You've been with East Kentucky Power a while. But for the last 5 years, during the greatest period of change in East Kentucky Power's history, Alan served as chairman of our board. We're so grateful for the support and the knowledge, the guidance, and the vision that Alan had and the support he gave us to be able to develop a strategic plan to combat that shortage I just talked about. And him and Mike Cobb, your CEO here, are on our board of directors. Alan's staying on as our board of directors, and I want you to know that these two hold us accountable to make sure that we do everything we can to deliver efficient, sustainable, as low cost as we possibly can, safely deliver electric power to Mike's distribution lines, through our transmission lines, and to you all. You see, East Kentucky Power, we're the ones that generate the electricity that you all enjoy when you go home and turn the lights on. We know what we're doing, and believe me, we are small in comparison to the big dogs in this business, the large utilities around this country, the large investor-owned utilities. But we've got a tremendous staff and the expertise to be able to fight against that and hold our own and continue to be competitive with them. And as a matter of fact, we're beating them more and more all the time. And it's only going to get better because we're building a more efficient generation fleet than they're going to have. We're going to do it less expensively because we can borrow cheap funds from the Rural Utilities Services Division of the USDA. So we've got a natural competitive advantage. We have you all as our partner in this. So over the next 5 years, we're building a tremendous amount of new generation for you all. And let me start with the first one that's going to come online. We're building 2 solar farms totaling 136 megawatts. So you know that we produce power by coal, and that's half of our capacity at East Kentucky Power. We own 3,400 megawatts of generation, but we also have a sustainability plan, and we're focusing on making sure that we reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and our goal is 35% by 2035. So first coming up in 2027, we will start generating power solar through those 2 solar facilities, complementing the 9 megawatts we already have. Next online, we're building a 214 megawatt reciprocating internal combustion engine facility in Liberty, Kentucky. That is going to be another game changer for our fleet to combat our winter exposure, those extreme temperatures. That's going to be a $500 million investment. The solar's $300 million investment. Next up, we're building a combined cycle natural gas power plant, one of the most efficient in the United States, 745 megawatts. It's going to be the cheapest in our fleet, even cheaper than our coal, burning natural gas with diesel fuel as backup. And at the same time, we're also doing another environmentally responsible thing. In order to serve that natural gas to that combined cycle that I just talked to you about, we're building a 30-inch pipeline to that facility. We're also building a 30-inch pipeline to our Smith Station, our 900 megawatt peaking facility, and a 30-inch gas pipeline to our Spurlock Station just not down the road, too far down the road from here. The reason we're doing that is twofold. Number one, it meets the greenhouse gas rule. It's called the power plant rule. And if we don't power those facilities called co-firing with natural gas and coal, we could possibly have to shut those units down. But regardless, that was also a tremendously efficient and economical investment to make because it makes the cost go down there. So I call it the new dual fuel. We can run on coal, we can run on gas, we can do it more efficiently. We could reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Like I said, we have a goal of 35% by 2035, and that's not smoke and mirrors, it's black and white. We're going to make those numbers. We're ahead of that today. But in addition, we are now officially a company that receives nuclear power. We buy 200 megawatts a month, 200 megawatts a day around the clock from nuclear power station in Pennsylvania and have it delivered to us. That's zero emissions. Zero emissions. So we're doing a tremendous amount. We're making a tremendous investment for you all. Once again, we're guided by the principle of making it as affordable as we can while still being competitive, being reliable, being resilient to changing times, resilient to changing regulations, resilient to prices. And oh, keep in mind, I know very well what you all had to pay for your fuel adjustment clause on your bill in March. And we were able to spread that out over several months. You can blame me for that. We did the best we can, just like everybody else in the marketplace. But we got gouged by gas marketers. They knew we needed power. They knew we needed gas, along with hundreds of thousands of others in Kentucky and in the states around us, millions of people. They chose profit, which drove up your fuel adjustment clause costs. When we build these pipelines to these power plants, that volatility goes away. So we're becoming more efficient. We're also becoming less volatile, more resilient, and more flexible in the long term. And those, all of the existing power plants that you invest in and own are going to be here for decades and decades to come. The investments we're making today, over $2 billion, are going to get us well on our way to getting up through the rest of this century. So we're making a tremendous investment. We're here for the long haul. We're here for you. We're doing everything we can to hold our costs down. Thank you very much.
Son came and registered, and I don't know, he said he was going to try to come back, but is Mr. Parker here, Stanley's son? I don't see him, but Stanley Parker was one of the original board of directors back in 1937. So that's a pretty amazing heritage that we would have one of the original directors' son come and join us here tonight. Earlier, you were introduced to your board of directors. Your board represents an important principle of how cooperatives are governed. Unlike investor-owned utilities, formed for the profit of stock market investors, cooperatives are democratic organizations controlled by you, the members, through your elected board representatives. Your board's highly dedicated, and they take their responsibility seriously as they support the mission by establishing policies, setting budgets, and setting strategic initiatives before management. And these all guide us. They guide myself, they guide our staff, and I'm thankful for their oversight, and I'm thankful for their commitment and their service. So they do a tremendous job holding me accountable, holding our staff accountable, and our employees. To go further, in 2025, your board approved a record $3 million capital credit refund back to you, the members. And this marks the 35th consecutive year that a general refund was given. And the sixth consecutive year that the refund has been over $2 million. So I'm thankful for their commitment to embracing the cooperative principle of the economic participation of the membership. That's one of the core cooperative principles, is that as a cooperative has monies left over after all expenses and operations are funded and paid for, those are called margins. And so our board authorized a $3 million refund this past year. And in total, over the years, we've refunded over $44 million back to the membership. In the June Kentucky Living magazine, our 2025 annual report was included. It's now my privilege to share some highlights found in that report and to provide some additional updates on the condition of your cooperative. You know, we never lose focus on the importance of connecting and communicating with our members. That's why we've spent the last 10 days in all 9 of our counties meeting with members and their families, and that's why we host this meeting here tonight. There's an opportunity to meet, communicate, talk to our members, find out what's on their minds. And in total, we've connected these past couple of weeks with over 2,000 of our members and their families. And for that, we're grateful. We're grateful that you took the time to come out tonight. A lot of these meetings are not as popular as they used to be, but we're thankful for your attendance here tonight. You know, it's our duty to clearly convey to our members how we operate, what drives our cost, what drives and what affects reliability. And so we also advocate with policymakers at the local, state, and even federal level, so they understand how their decisions impact our ability to serve you. And these priorities all guide us and reflects our desire to put our members first. As we look at some of the highlights from the past year, I'd like to begin with safety. Our primary focus each and every day as we perform our duties is working safe. Many of our employees work in less than ideal situations and environments, and safety must be a priority, and that's a key area of focus. Likewise, I'd like to mention that safety daily has to be emphasized in order to have that strong safety culture which we all strive for. And our safety focus is beyond the walls of our buildings and our warehouses. We spend considerable hours each year with safety programs for our membership, and we communicate things through our website and through our Kentucky Living magazine on the safe use of electricity. And then we also, if you visited the display out front, we have this display that we're taking to schools and 4-H clubs and senior citizens outings, trying to just make sure that the public at large understands how to act and respond safely around electricity. So as we look at our safety record, I'm pleased to report good results and announce that last month we celebrated an important milestone by working 2 full years without a lost time accident. And you can clap at that. I'm going to clap. This doesn't happen by accident. It's intentional. It's intentional. We have to stay focused on these things. So our employees and their loved ones deserve our very best efforts when it comes to safety, to ensure they come home at the end of the day the same way they left that morning, and that is safe, secure, and healthy. Now, let's look at some key results from 2025. Turning to reliability, we realize the importance of having reliable electric service. What that means is when you come home and you flip the switch, the lights come on. That's something that is cannot be placed enough. You cannot place enough importance on that, having the power come on when you need it. But it can be taken for granted. But it takes diligence and a big effort to make sure that happens. It starts at East Kentucky Power, through their generation, and then their transmission, and then when it gets to the substation, we pick it up and distribute that power to your homes and businesses. But 2025 was another good year for reliability. We consistently outperformed the national averages for reliability. And to put it another way, our power was available 99.96% of the time. So you can rely on Owen Electric to deliver dependable power, and that it's available when you need and want it. Now, as we look to some of the services that our service territories, some of the areas that we cover, you can see here that we cover parts of 9 counties. And here's a look at how those accounts. You can see some up in the north, the Boone and Kenton County area is some of our largest membership bases. But we're spread out across pieces of 9 counties. And as Don mentioned earlier, all the high population areas were being served by investor-owned utilities because they could get a return on their plant investment because they had the density there. They serve sometimes between 40 and 50 meters per mile of line. We, on the other hand, serve the typical co-op serves anywhere from 8 to 14 meters per mile of line. So we're at a cost disadvantage, but we said we're not going to worry about profit. We're not for profit. We're going to be member focused, and our focus is not on profit, but it's on serving the needs of our membership. That's how we were created some 9 decades ago, and that's what we continue to focus on. We're small compared to investor-owned utilities, but we serve about 68,000 homes and businesses, and that makes us one of the largest cooperatives in the state and even in the nation. So the way I like to say it is we're small but mighty. We don't take a back seat to any utility, no matter how large or powerful they are. And I think our metrics speak to that, and I'll share some more of that here in just a moment. But the utility plant that we have built over these 9 decades is expansive. We got 9 counties to cover, And in fact, if you stretched out our power lines, they would reach from here in Walton all the way across the country to the coast of California. Then once you got to the Pacific Ocean, all the way across the Pacific Ocean until you reached the Hawaiian Islands. And then once you got to Hawaii, you'd still have 300 more miles of lines to stretch out. That's a lot of lines to build and maintain. And so that's over 4,700 miles of power lines. And supporting those power lines is over 70,000 utility power poles across our 9 counties. So let's take a moment to look at value and the price of electric service. More and more, each year it grows. Electricity powers more and more of everything in our home. Our heating, our cooling, our refrigeration, washing and drying of clothes, water heating, plus all the things we plug in, our lights, our computers, our TVs. Everything that is powered by electricity continues to grow and grow with each passing year. So electricity fuels our daily lives. But it does so essentially for less than $5 a day. So when you think about how vital electricity is and how that power compares and that cost compares to other everyday expenses, a to-go latte is $6 plus. A fast food combo meal is $10. Electricity at $5 a day powering all the things that we enjoy is really a real value. It's a bargain, you might say. Here's a look at the breakdown of our revenues by source. And as you can see from this chart, residential services account for 46% of our revenue, while 54% comes from commercial and industrial services. The growth of our commercial and industrial revenue has been remarkable over the past 4 decades at least. I can recall when I first came to work here, and we've got some former employees here too that can vouch for this, and some board members who've served for quite some time. I can recall when 80% of our revenue was residential services, and only 20% was other, small businesses and some factories and whatnot. Now the split is 45-55. So what does this mean? It means we are blessed with a very robust and growing commercial and industrial load. And with that comes jobs and economic opportunity for our communities and our families. As we look at our membership, we're growing there as well. This graph shows that in 2025, we welcomed almost 1,300 new members to the co-op family. So we're fortunate to serve a growing and vibrant region, and your co-op continues to experience steady and healthy growth. As we look at our financial reports for 2025, our statement of operation shows that we had operating revenue of over $253 million and a cost for providing that service of over $249 million. This produced an operating margin of approximately $4.7 million. After assignments of non-operating margins and capital credits from associated organizations, that brought our total margins for the year to approximately $11.9 million. Looking at our balance sheet is a snapshot of our assets, our liabilities, and our equities. The largest category by far is our utility plant. That's the lines, the poles, the meters, transformers, and the other associated equipment required to safely and reliably deliver power from the substation to your home. That investment exceeds $375 million. Less the depreciation on that plant, along with other balances, our balance sheet had a year-ending balance of over $326 million. Earlier, you heard from East Kentucky Power's CEO, Don Mosier. Thank you, Don. We appreciate you being here. I know Friday nights are precious, and we thank you for spending your Friday night here with us. And he gave us a glimpse into the strategic efforts underway to meet our members' energy needs. Those efforts are truly massive, Herculean. I mean, they are significant. And that's some heavy lifting that they're involved in. Demand for electricity is rising, and EKP is planning new generation resources to ensure we can continue to provide reliable power at competitive cost. They're planning resources that can provide electricity around the clock, regardless of the weather. And EKPC is also reducing its carbon footprint. And as Don mentioned, they have some pretty aggressive goals. And that's 35% reduction by 2035. And they've even gone out further, hoping to and striving to have a 70% reduction by 2050. And you say, well, why is that important? Well, it's the environment. We all support a clean environment. But we also, in addition to that, we have a growing number of our members, even our commercial and industrial members, asking us, how can we reduce our carbon footprint? So all these initiatives are taken for the benefit of the member and the benefit of our community. So as we look to the future, we realize our industry is changing rapidly. And as I mentioned, additional planning is underway to meet the challenges we face. East Kentucky Power has long-range plans for developing a portfolio of competitively priced, reliable, and highly adaptable power. Adaptable to the changing conditions we find ourselves in, the changing conditions of the regulatory environment, which ebb and flow depending on which administration. You have to remember, it takes 5-6 years to plan it. It takes another 5 or 6 years or longer to build it. And then the election cycles, and then you have to live with that decision for 30 plus years, while the election cycles come and go every 4 years. So we have to be responsive and have an eye to the future on what is happening in our industry. Fuel markets change, technological innovations, all that is being carefully sought and studied as we move forward. It's a big task. It really is. And I think Don even alluded to the fact. It's a big task. But we're up to the challenge. And we're committed to a balanced approach that focuses on three things and more, but three major things: sustainability, reliability, and affordability. It's like a three-legged stool. You don't want to pull any of those legs out from under the stool or it falls. So those three things help us balance and direct our efforts moving forward. Finally, I want to move and talk about member satisfaction. We are keenly interested in how our members think we're performing. And each year we survey a lot of our members, hundreds and hundreds of them, to learn how satisfied they are. And the results from our 2025 member satisfaction survey showed that we achieved an all-time high of a 92. That's an all-time high. I can remember it wasn't too long ago. It was regularly in the high 70s. Then it moved into the 80s. We celebrated. We kept pushing forward, kept raising the bar. And now we're at 92. And this is a third straight year we've been in the 90s. it places us among the top handful of cooperatives, not only in Kentucky, the top in Kentucky, but even the top handful in the nation. So to put this in perspective, if you look at some of the most well-known and well-respected companies in the nation, Chick-fil-A, everybody loves Chick-fil-A. They scored an 84. It's the same survey, identical questions. Chick-fil-A, 84, Apple, 82, Costco, 82, Coca-Cola, 79. So we're in good company there. So I'm very proud of that. So not only did our members, if you look at the graph, not only did our members rank us high with a score of 92, what's even more impressive, I think, is when we compare ourselves to the investor-owned utilities, the KUs, the Dukes, the others, whose average score is 74, and to the municipal utilities in the nation, whose average score is a 75, we outscore them dramatically. We even outscore our sister co-ops, whose average score is a 76. So I believe Owen's score is reflective of and is a testament to the exceptional care and service that our members are provided. And I want to thank those who have made Owen Electric not only one of the best electric utilities in the state, but in the nation. And that's our employees. Now, I've tried this in the past to have them come up front, the ones that are here, and quite frankly, they hate doing that. They're modest. They don't want that. But would you please join me in thanking our employees for that excellent service? They're the reason for our successes. They're the ones that meet the member where they are. When you call, they answer the phone. When you come to the office, they're the friendly, smiling face. And when the lights go out, they're out there putting the lines back up, working safely. So all of that, all those scores are a tribute to our excellent employees. So as I conclude my president's report, I'd like to focus on our commitment to the communities we serve. This goes well beyond providing an electric service. We support many worthwhile causes throughout the region, whether it's volunteering for Special Olympics, sponsoring veterans on honor flights, and hosting many other events across their territory in our schools and senior citizens events and different things. We're pleased to partner with our community in different areas and support that. So we're eager to participate. And why do we do that? Because these are our neighbors. These are our communities. These are our friends too. And that's the very heart and soul of your electric member-owned cooperative. So, this concludes my report. I thought I'd get an applause there. But no, just that I finished up. This concludes my report. But I'd like to end by saying that Owen Electric, with affordable rates, reliable power supply, and a commitment to service, is well positioned to meet our members' needs today and in the future. Your board, the management, and staff are deeply committed. I can't tell you, I can't stress that enough. But we're committed to meeting the challenges that face our industry in partnership with our G&T, who we walk hand in hand and strategically plan things together. Please know that we'll continue to advocate on behalf of your best interest. Thank you. So at this time, I want to turn the meeting back over to our chairman, Alan Arman. But before I do, I'd like to acknowledge Alan's excellent leadership as our board chair, not only of our cooperative, but of East Kentucky Power Cooperative. He's been doing double duty for several years now, and we're thankful for your job, and well done. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think they're all looking for a raise somewhere along the way here. I would like to add one thing to Mike's comments on the capital credits that we pay out. We take it for granted up here, but you look across the state, there are 16 co-ops that are in East Kentucky's power group. Probably only 4 or 5 of them actually give capital credits. And for us to be able to give $3 million is a great accomplishment. So don't take it for granted, because a lot of places, the end consumers, the owners, are not receiving those capital credits of any amount whatsoever. So we're very fortunate, and that's because of our leadership, like Mike and Don and all the people that are behind all this. So thank you all for what you do. And Don, thanks again for coming up. Is there any other business that needs to come before the group at this time? Hearing none, this concludes the business portion of the co-op's annual meeting. I will entertain a motion and a second to adjourn. First and second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? And we now stand in adjournment. The 2026 annual meeting is adjourned. Thank you for the attendance. Best wishes for a safe and healthy summer. I will now turn the remainder of the meeting over to our VP of Member Services, Mike Stafford, for the annual scholarship drawing and the grand prize drawings. Thank you for your attendance, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Arman. I get the fun part. This is the moment you've all been waiting for. We'll do scholarship first. So this year's grand prize scholarship is a $2,000 scholarship that you have to be here to win. And Whitney will draw that now at random from her lovely golden carousel here. Lindsay Claire Weiland. She here? Awesome. Congratulations, Lindsay. Yeah, come on up. I'll let you get with Whitney over there. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. Same rules apply to our 3 grand prize drawings this year. You have to be here to win. These are 3 $500 energy gift certificates. So if you draw one of these next week, we'll be making an adjustment on your bill. You'll have $500 credit towards your account, your electric account. So we'll give this thing a good spin. Well, one fell out for me. We'll get that one. That'll work. Dan and Stephanie Romito. Awesome. If you would, you don't have to come up now. After the meeting, if you would come up here, and we'll get you your certificate. 2 more. Maybe one will luckily fly out again for me. I won't have to open that latch. Thank you. This one, Carol Bowen. Awesome. All right, Carol, come see me when we finish up. Thank you. Last one, before I draw this one, just a matter of housekeeping. When you leave here, we kindly ask that you exit around the back of the building and come out on this side. And our sheriff's deputies will help guide you out the front. Last one, William Omer. Perfect. Congratulations, William. Prize winners, please come talk to me. Other than that, that concludes our evening, folks. Please have a safe drive home. Thanks for coming.